guys, we are back with Messy on Purpose, and I have Leslie here with me today who is going to introduce herself, and then we're going to dive in.
Hey, Leslie Lane Peabody, the ninja in high heels. I'm so glad to be here. Messy on Purpose is an amazing name for a podcast. I totally loved it. And I'm like, okay, I got to meet that woman and I got to come here because this is what life is all about, right? The messy middle. And I talk a lot about that in my coaching. So I loved it. I totally loved it.
Well, thank you. I also love how you're on brand with like your heel necklace and your heel earrings.
Right? And then I decided to rebrand. So, I don't know. I'm still keeping the ninja in high heels. I got to keep that because my boys named me like 10 years ago when they were teens.
So where did that name come from? You got to give us some background on that because that's a very unique name.
Right. I was going through a divorce, right? So the messy middle, right? And I knew I had to make some money somehow, somewhere. And so I started a coaching business. And at that time, we were still going to the office, right? So every day I was dressed up. I went to the office. I went in heels. And my kids were probably 12 and 14-ish, those ages. So they were like all into the Ninja Turtles and all that kind of, stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I need a name for my business. And they're like, oh, we got it, Mom. Ninja. I'm like, come on, guys. I'm a girl. Ninja, not really. He's like, and they looked at me and they're like, I know. Ninja in high heels. I'm like, there you go. So that's how the name was created.
So it's your boys. Oh, that's great. I didn't know if like you did something in heels that was just like crazy or what, but that's cute.
I just loved that so much because it kind of brought them into my business, because when you're a mom, a business takes away from the time you spend with your family, or at least changes it, right? So, yeah, I knew I had to do something that involved them, that allowed me to still be a mom while I was building a side hustle. And for me, it was a side hustle. I was still a corporate girly, right? Doing the leadership thing, being that perfect corporate clone. I was doing all of that. And I had to make more money after going through that divorce. And that's how I found the coaching.
Very cool. So how did you navigate from corporate to entrepreneurial world full time?
Well, it took years because I wasn't ready to give up that corporate shot every 2 weeks, right? That infusion. And honestly, I loved my corporate job. It was a great job.
What was it?
I was in charge of systems for the entire United States for a certain entity who will remain nameless. But it was feeding my soul. I was doing important work every day. I could come home and I could say, okay, well, I'm just a systems person or I'm just an accountant. I moved from an accountant to a systems person. But I clean up the water every day. I feed horses every day. So I had some connection to the mission and it fed my soul in that way, but I still wanted to be that mom. I wanted to go to the football games. I wanted to go to the band practices. I wanted to be the grub goddess. So when my kids did band competitions, I got to go to them and meet all of their friends. So I had to find something that I could do in the cracks of my day. Right? Those 10 minutes while you're waiting to pick up your kids here or there, or those 15 minutes after you've had your snarf down your lunch and you have a few minutes to do something. I had to find something that would work within my schedule. And that's where entrepreneurship was born. I didn't know it was possible before then, frankly.
Was it ever really a thought? Like you ever thought you would go on that path, or was this just something that just kind of led you there?
No, I never thought it was a possibility, and I'll tell you how stupid that was in a minute. But I was raised blue collar, right? You get a 40-hour-a-week job, you go to work, blah, blah, blah. I was the first one in my family who graduated from college. So that I was already a rebel. And frankly, I went to college because my dad told me I couldn't and I would never make it. So I'm like, I'll show you. And so I did. And then I got that job, right? I got a job. I stuck with the job. That's my grandfather. I have his clock up there. He worked 40 years. They gave him a clock. That's the background I come from. That you stay where you are. I stayed over 35 years with the company I was with. That is the story I was raised with. But I knew when I went through the divorce that I had to find a way to make more money. And you didn't go in and ask for a raise where I was. You didn't get raises. There were particular steps. You got particular raises after 3 years, you got this much. After 5 years, you got this much. There was no way to influence how much you made. If I made a bonus, it was like $500. It was not going to save my house. How was I going to save my house? And that's when I started thinking.
So what was the process that when you got thinking that led you to like the coaching, or was there steps before that led into the coaching? Like where did you navigate?
Well, there were a lot of steps that went through there. So it all started that one night, and I bet everybody's had one of these. I was sitting binge watching Netflix and I was crying. My boys had just gone to bed. I was crying in my dark bedroom because I made a 6-figure salary, but I had no idea if I had enough money for groceries the next day. I mean, I had 3 teenage boys in the house, and I had just reduced from a 2-income family to a 1-income family. I had promised myself that I would never have children until I could give them the same house all through their lives. That's something I grew up with. My grandmother still had the same house my mom was born in. Those roots run deep for me. So I knew I didn't want to lose my house. How was I going to do it? And I sat in my room one night crying, wondering about the groceries. And I said, you know what? Nobody's going to tell me I can't. That rebel spirit came back alive, the one that made me go through college. And I'm like, no, nobody's going to tell me I have to sell my house. I'm going to find a way. I have no idea what that way is, but I'm going to find a way. So at the time, meetups were big. And, I did everything I could do because I had 3 kids in high school. A football player, a band kid, and a debate kid. And there's a lot of driving and after-school events and all of those things. I wasn't willing to give that up. I couldn't get a second job. That was not a possibility, So I just kept exploring other things. And actually, what brought me to coaching, if you can believe it, was an MLM company or a network marketing company. That's the first place I found. And you can start a business in the cracks of your day. I know sometimes they have a bad taste in people's mouths, but it gave me freedom. It allowed me to see myself as an entrepreneur, start a business, and keep my house. It was amazing.
Very cool. Very cool. So it took that why, right? The house was the why.
The house for the kids was the why. Mm-hmm. Was a huge why for me. And when you have a big enough why, you don't let anything get in your way.
Nope. Have you read the book, the Simon Sinek book?
Of course. Of course, yeah.
It's such a good book. And it's something that has came up in every aspect of life. So I've done multiple different types of career paths. I've tried many different things because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just tried a bunch of stuff. And it always came up. So I remember I sold supplemental insurance at one point. And it came up there. Like, that was part of like the training and everything. They were like, what is your why? What is going to drive you to push you? And so like having that will make you unstoppable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
that's totally true.
You just told that.
Right. And I think that's something that we lose touch with, because our kids are an easy why, right? Our kids, our family, that's an easy why. So that's what gets us out of bed in the morning, right? But eventually those kids grow up and move away. Eventually something loses its luster. We stopped feeding our souls, and we sit on the couch and we binge watch Netflix because we can't even get off the couch once we get home. We've spent our time being the person that we think we're supposed to be, that we don't have energy to come home and be the person we want to be. And that's what I want to flip the script on. It's time to get through your messiness and do your plot twist, because you're right in the middle of that movie right now. What step are you going to take next?
I do think that's a struggle for most women who have children too, is they put everything into their kids, which is great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that anyone's a bad parent for doing that.
Kind of have
to. You can't put everything in there. You have to have something for you. You have to have purpose outside of that, purpose that goes deeper. Because when they do leave, which I've seen it many, many times, they lose purpose. They have nothing left, and now they're depressed, and now they're going on this downward spiral in their, midlife, and it's just kind of sad. And like, you just have to have that. How old are your kids now?
Now they're pushing 30. Yeah.
Okay. Pushing 30. Okay. So tell me, like, can you explain how you navigated that? Like, as they left, like, what did you do and what did you focus on and what did you have that was, keeping you sustainable and like full of purpose without having to take care of kids?
Well, it would be my business,
Okay.
So work was work. It was always there, but the business really fills my soul, right? So it doesn't matter. Your kids leave, you get divorced, whatever. I read something today, Jane Fonda, everybody knows who Jane Fonda is, right? She was married to Ted Turner for a while. And while she was married to Ted Turner, 10 years into that marriage, she had all the money in the world. I mean, maybe she wasn't the richest person in the world, but she had wealth. She had star power, right? She's in so many movies. She had what we think is everything. But she said, I knew that little inner voice inside me said, if I didn't get out now, I would lose myself. Even Jane Fonda thought she would lose herself. So we need to find our own purpose. We need to have our own purpose. Even if we kind of put it on the background and don't do a lot about it, when you have to feed the kids and they're totally unself-sufficient, we have to have that in our lives, because then when it's time for them to leave, the relationship changes, but you don't fall to pieces. If the marriage ends, it's okay, because you don't need that. You're not identifying as a wife, you're identifying as you.
It's that self-branding.
Right.
That's really what it comes down to.
Exactly. We all need our self-branding.
We all have to have our own little purpose, and it cannot depend on other people, because other people don't always stay. Things happen. I mean, it doesn't even necessarily mean you have to be divorced. Things happen to where people pass away, things change. I mean, you don't even have to leave with like bad blood. Sometimes there's separations that are good, and it's just life's full of changes and you have to embrace it. But if you're so set on like who you are as attached to one thing or one person, then it will blow up your world when that happens.
It will. And And I've seen depression, when you just can't get off couch. The dishes are piling up in the sink, the laundry's piling up, but you just keep binge watching, even though you're like, okay, one more episode and I'm going to go do that. And doing that never happens. Maybe you fall asleep on the couch and don't even go to bed. Maybe you didn't brush your teeth before you went to bed tonight because you fell asleep on the couch. You're so bone tired because you don't have a purpose. Mm-hmm. And we can flip the script on that. And you can change your outlook on life and get back that energy, that vitality. Now, I'm not going to tell you that you get all your dishes done, but you don't care.
Oh, I care. It drives me nuts.
Okay, maybe you would get all your dishes done, but it's not who you are, and you don't feel guilty about it if you don't.
Oh,
you have energy, and you just can't wait to get up in the morning because you get to do something that fills your soul.
Well, like, people live for the weekend.
Right?
And things like that. Like, that even that alone, like, so you dread Monday through Friday because you have to work, but you don't work the entire day on Monday through Friday. Some people do. Some people have a 12-hour shift, but still, you still have a couple hours that you can enjoy. And, like, to just hope for the weekend every Monday is so sad because there's 5 days that you're just wasting away.
Yes, you're wasting your life. And if you don't love your job, if that's not feeding your soul, we need to help you move on.
There's other options. And like, that's something I've never understood. So I know you talked about how you grew up and like everyone kept the same job for years and years and years, right? Well, everyone did that where I grew up too. That's probably why I've had so many jobs, because I don't just settle and stay somewhere. I don't like it. There's other options, and I've tried many, many different things to even get close to where I want to be. And like, it takes trying new things to find that, and it also takes boundaries and standards and what you will put up with.
Mm-hmm. That is so true. That is so very true, because, we let a lot of things slip. There's that story about the frog in the hot water, right? You start him off in cold water, and then you turn on the stove, and he just stays and he stays and he stays, because maybe it's not so bad. But you need some good friends. You need some good outside eyes to say, oh, girl, that's bad. It's time to leave now, and maybe we can't all leave at the moment we want to. But that doesn't mean you don't create an exit plan. You're always writing the next scene while you're in the current scene.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people waste time with things like Netflix, right? You can do stuff while you're Netflixing anyways. I'm on my computer almost 24. I have a problem though. Like, I'm definitely not your normal person. But
Me too.
But you can, instead of like, everyone's always like, I don't have time. So I do health and fitness coaching. And that's a common thing, right? I don't have time. Well, how much time are you really doing nothing? Like, let's really break it down. You have time. So if you want to start a business on top of your 9 to 5, that's only 40 hours a week. How many other hours do you have in that entire week to work towards something else? How many people, it doesn't even mean you have to do your own business. Maybe you just want a new job. Spend time actually applying and looking for that job. Not everyone's meant to be an entrepreneur. Like, that's a fact, and that's okay. And find something that works for you. But just because you have this job and it's sustaining your life and it's making sure everything's okay, and maybe you can't afford not to work, doesn't mean you can't find something else.
Right. And, good is the opposite of great. Not terrible, because good keeps you stuck.
Good's okay.
Good's okay. Good keeps you stuck where you are and makes you not want to give up what's good in search of great. But I'm going to challenge your listeners today that they can have great. Great
Anyone
is
can.
Possible for anyone who's willing to look for it and take the steps. I mean, I call them big, bold steps, but honestly, the steps you need to take might be a 5 minutes a day steps. Some of them will take a little bit of time, right? But how long does it really take to find a place to put in a new application? How long does it really take to do
How
one?
long does it take if you don't do anything? It takes forever.
Right?
It never happens. So why not take a small step? Because if you're taking a small step, now at least you're heading in that direction and it's possible. It's not possible if you take zero action and you just keep sitting there complaining and wishing and wanting, but not taking any action.
Not taking any action, right? So imagine driving across the country, right? I think I-40 might go through the middle of the country or whatever, but one coast to the other, and you're driving in a straight line. Now imagine you just change that by 1 degree at the very beginning of the trip. And then you went across the country just 1 degree different. Every day that division gets wider and wider and wider, and you get a totally different decision when you're at the end of that trip than if you had stayed on the straight and narrow, if you had stayed where you were. Just a very tiny daily change. But we lose patience with ourselves because we want immediate results. And that one, I didn't lose 20 pounds yesterday. I guess I'm going to quit.
Yep.
Well, you didn't gain 20 pounds yesterday either. It took you a couple of years to get there.
Well, and people miss too, like, it's small habits that lead up to your goal, whether that is weight loss, and having there's no fast track. Every fast track has some type of liability. So weight loss, if you take the fast track, there's probably health liabilities. And it's also going to most likely bring you backwards because you never develop the habits and the skills in order to sustain that life. Same thing with like a job. If you get one maybe more for not the right reasons, that's probably the best way to put it. It's not sustainable. You're held there for a reason. And as soon as you lose that benefit to the person that got you there, you're going to be back down at the bottom. And that's just kind of how it works. But if you fill out an application or you work your way up or you build your skills or you do more education or you do something to deserve that spot, no one can take it from you. If you work hard enough, no one can take it from you. And those are habits, little habits over time that you have to build. Building discipline, building, the skills to do the things that you don't want to do. Because let's face it, 9 times out of 10, no matter who we are, no matter how disciplined we are, we don't always want to.
But what if I could show you a way that you would want to more often?
But that's not what I'm saying. Like, what I'm saying is, like, you just don't want to. Like, I am a gym
some days you
nut.
don't want to.
Yeah. And what I'm getting at is that you're building a habit. You're building skills that make you push past that. Because I'm a huge gym goer. I'm a gym nut. I love it. I love working out. I love the feeling of pushing myself. I love, manipulating my body in different ways to get the results that I want. I love that. Do I want to wake up every single day when I'm tired and go to the gym? Not always, but I go anyways. That's the point I'm making.
Right. And I think that what you have in your head is the vision of the you want to be. Mm-hmm. You wake up in the morning and you put on your she-girl, I call her our she-rose. You put on your she-ro panties and you say, I don't want to get out of bed, but I want to be that girl. So you get out of bed because that's what she would do. So that's one of the tricks that I teach women is put yourself 3 years from now in the shoes of the woman you want to become. What would she be doing today? Oh, she'd be getting her tennies on and she'd be going to the gym. Oh, she'd be whatever. What is your goal? Who do you want to be in 3 years? Do that work today. It totally changed my mindset when I started my day becoming my shiro every morning.
You have to do the things.
What I did.
You have to take action. That's what it comes down to altogether. Like, if you're not taking action, you're just sitting. You're just sitting. You're a sitting duck. You're not doing anything. Nothing's going to change. And change is a good thing. And I think a lot of people don't embrace change as much as they should too. If you don't embrace it, you're scared of it. That's really the difference. And if you're scared of change, well, guess what? Nothing's going to get better. Nothing's going to change.
No, it doesn't. And what is the saying? If you're not green and growing, you're ripe and rotting. So which do you want to be?
It bugs me. So here's a little back on me. So I want to fix everything. I'm just like, you bring me a problem and I want to fix it. Whether that's fixing something in a spreadsheet, whether that's somebody coming to me with their emotional problems, whether it's somebody coming to me with their goals, whatever it is, I just want to fix it. And what drives me nuts is when people come to me with problems and aren't willing to fix it.
But that's very common, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And it's hard to get people out of their head. So, that being said, diving into your coaching, what do you do to get people out of that slump?
Well, they don't want to take action because it doesn't hurt enough yet.
But not everyone needs to hurt enough. You know what I mean? Like some people just like, they're just okay with the way it is. They have hopes, they have dreams, but you know, if nothing changes, they're like, whatever, this is just how life is.
Right. They don't care. So they're not ready to make a change. Nothing in their life hurts. So they're not willing to make a change. So you and I, it doesn't take much hurt for us to move.
It doesn't take any for me.
It's like, whoa, shiny new object. Let me go. Let me go that direction.
I've always been drilled this way, and it's different than most people. And that's why I'm asking you, like, what you do with your average person, because I'm not average. You're not average. Like, we're not average people. So, like, dealing with average people, which is who you typically deal with when you're coaching, because somebody like me isn't going to hire a coach. I don't need one. You know, if I need one, it's for something specific, and it's something way, way higher. Right. Not as simple as changing your habits. Right. And that's very different than your average person who will hire a coach that needs to get them to get to the point where they can make changes, where they can do things, where they can develop habits. So what do you do when it comes to that person? They come to you, they're not ready to actually take action. What do you do?
Most of the time, I got to be honest, when it's a woman, she's not ready to take action because she doesn't know what she wants. She knows what she doesn't want, but she forgot how to dream. It's been beaten out of us or learned out of us or whatever. Our actions have to do with the health and safety of our families and our jobs, and we forgot how to dream for ourselves. So that's the first thing I do is I jiggle the handle. I say, okay, if you could be anything in the world you wanted, what would you want to be? Nobody seems to know. They don't know what they want to be when they grow up. So we take them through a dream process where they talk about what don't they want, and then they start talking about what do they want. And then what is it costing them to stay stuck?
What does that usually look like?
It's like actually a fairly short process, and I even have built a GPT around it so that you can do it right from the comfort of your home and your computer. But it looks like a series of questions, and it says, okay, you always have to know where you are and where you want to go. So we first do an assessment about where you are, and then we do an assessment about where you want to go. And to talk about where you want to go, we talk about what you're longing and discontent. We have 4 areas of your life: your health and wellness, your vocation or your passion, your relationships, which are not just romantic, but they're friends, they're family, they're everything, right? And then your time and money freedom. So you address where you are, then we address where you want to be, and then we say, okay, do you want to take action on that? What's it costing you to stay where you are instead of go to where you want to be? And if that cost is great enough, you are going to take action. If that cost isn't great enough, you don't ever want to take action because you're comfortable and there's no reason to move. But most of the people who come see me, they're not comfortable. They just don't want to move because they're afraid. The fear of losing what they have, the fear of losing good to get great is bigger than the fear of whatever the problem is, right? So we work on that with them individually. Why are you afraid? Is it really worth it? Or can you take that fear and turn it on its head? Can you work through that fear? Because fear was very important back to us. Back in the caveman days, when if we stepped in the wrong place, we might die because we'd break a leg or whatever. Fear doesn't have the same purpose. I mean, yeah, if you walk into a street, you might die. But fear doesn't serve us the same now as it did back then. So
I think a lot of people aren't necessarily like, it's not necessarily like a fear of like scared, right? It's a fear of change. It's a fear of the unfamiliar. Yes. It's a different type of fear. It's not like I'm going to be in harm's way if something happens, or like that this could be a bad thing. It's the fear of the unfamiliar. People don't like change because it's unfamiliar.
That is very true. It's unfamiliar. Mm-hmm. But once you try something, it becomes familiar. Right?
It's fun.
I mean, honestly, and another fear is failure. What if I try and I don't succeed? Okay, I don't think you remember when you were a baby, but maybe you remember when you had babies or your friends had babies or something. How many times do babies try to walk? 3? 5? Do they give up after 10 times? No. And we encourage them until they walk. Every person, unless you have some type of disability, learns to walk because we don't give up.
Well, I think a lot of that comes from the people around you too.
Yes.
So if you don't have a supportive surrounding, an environment that supports you and like encourages you, now you're like, well, if I fail, these people are going to judge me. And when you care so much about what the people around you think, it's a lot harder to try something new than it is when you don't care.
Yes. And are the people around you, do they really have your best interest at heart if they're trying to hold you back?
Not
or do
one
they
bit.
want you to succeed? Do you want friends who want you to succeed? Are you the friend who wants your friends and family to succeed? Do you encourage them, or do you tell them, oh, that's stupid. Oh, I wouldn't do that. Are you the naysayer in your group? Or are you the one that says, man, that sounds fantastic. Tell me how I can help. Surround yourself with those people.
It's all about the environment you put yourself in. And not just physically, but like the people you surround yourself with, the thoughts in your head. All of that leads up to whether or not you can make these changes. And if you don't have supportive people and you have all these naysayers that are just like, oh yeah, that's not going to work out, or good luck, or, things like that. So again, I'm very, very different. So I get it. Nobody should relate to me. I get it. But, I worked at a bar and I quit drinking while working at that bar. And I'm from the Midwest originally, and drinking's just the norm. Everyone drinks. This is way before it was cool to be sober too. So like it definitely was out of the norm. And I quit drinking. I was actually just taking a break. That's how it started. And I was like, I just need a break from this. It's just not fitting with my life. And I took a break, still working in a bar. I got hate from so many people. I got you're never going to do it. You're not going to make it. You won't make it a month, like things like that. And all that did was fuel my fire. But for your average person, that would stop you, because now everyone around you hates you. Everybody around you is judging you. Everybody around you is uncomfortable with your change. So now I need to just mold back in with society and not stand out so much. And that is something that I think a lot of people struggle with, is when people are just cruel. They're just cruel sometimes. And a lot of it's because you're doing something that they won't do. And now that out of that insecurity of knowing that they are not going to make that change, they're not going to succeed at that because they're never even going to try. They don't want you to do that either. And that negativity is easy to get rid of by getting rid of those people.
Right, but people don't want to get rid of those people because it might be their sister. It might be their best friend. It might be their spouse.
Boundaries.
Right? But for me, kind of my mother. Oh, here, try this piece of birthday cake. No, Mom, I don't eat sugar anymore. Oh, no, one bite won't hurt you. Mom, I don't eat sugar. I can't eat sugar. But when you have people who love you, it's hard to say no. It's hard to put up the boundaries. But is it love?
So I know family's family, but is it love? No, that is not love. People hating on you is not love, no matter what kind of form it comes in. If it's your husband and he's treating you like crap and he's telling you all these negative things, he doesn't love you. Right. Love doesn't do that. That's control. And that's exactly why people do that. They beat each other down to keep control of you. Right. And you can't let people control you. I don't talk to a lot of my family, and I don't do that because I put up boundaries because I get treated like crap, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to deal with it. I get it. I'm different. I do not care. And you have to put up those boundaries. I get not completely cutting people off, but if you don't have those boundaries, you are going to stay in the same place and you're going to be held back because all you're worried about is what these people think that don't even care about you.
Right. And that is so true. And so we have to build new communities of like-minded people, right? Mm-hmm. We might have to get out of our communities. I know women who have to get out of their communities because there is no one in their town that believes like they do. They were raised in maybe a different Christian type community, and they have to get out of town in order to be able to grow and think differently. They cannot think differently where they are. And thankfully, we have the internet and we can now. Before Zoom, that wasn't even possible.
I mean, it's still possible. Amazing. I moved out of my hometown. Like, it's possible.
Well, yeah, but without moving, you can still do it where you are and still find what you need to make your changes happen.
You have to surround yourself with the right people. Without the right people, you will never blossom. And you have to try new things, and you have to experience new experiences, because if you don't really know who you are. You can't just sit in the same thing and spin and spin and spin and find out who you are. That's not how we bloom.
And do you ever really know who you want to be when you grow up? I mean, I keep changing.
I think you have a purpose. I think we all deep down know what our purpose is. Maybe not what we're going to do with it.
Yeah.
But we all do have a purpose. Like I have a purpose to help and fix things and people, and that is my purpose. It's always been there with me through every single job I've had, every situation I had, every relationship I've had. All of it's been to help people improve, help myself improve. And it's shown up in different ways depending on what path I was on, where I was at mentally. But it's always been there. And I think we all have some type of purpose, and unless you let yourself grow into that, you'll never figure out exactly what you want to do. And maybe not even exactly, but at least you're doing things that head towards fulfilling that purpose. Because I do think everyone is born with a purpose.
Yes, I do agree with that. You have to have, a lot of people call it the North Star, right, that you're going towards. But man, I've done a lot of different things, right, to get there. I don't care what I have to go over, under, through, around, because my eyesight is still on that. How do I get there? What do I need to do today to take a step there? And sometimes it's a step backwards because I have to go around something. And in 2 years, it's going to look entirely different than it does today, because 2 years ago, it looked entirely different than it does today. But it's still
things are always changing.
Direction. Yeah.
Yeah, things are always changing. I mean, look at now. So, 10 years ago, did you have AI that could help with anything? You brought up using ChatGPT for something, and like we didn't have that before, or half the technology that we have now to be able to makes websites super easy so it's accessible to everyone. We don't have to
Right.
hire someone for that because anyone can go on and make one. Maybe it's not as good as hiring someone, but you can still do it. Or using ChatGPT and having an endless amount of knowledge and ways to make a business successful with just AI. Like you don't have to hire employees to start. You can just use AI. There's all these things that we have that we didn't have before. And in 10 years, it's going to be even more.
Right.
And so that means everything changes and you have to not only mold into that and embrace it instead of being scared of it, because a lot of people are scared of AI. Like you have to embrace it. Or social media. A lot of people won't embrace social media. They're scared to have their stuff out there. But like you have to use these tools and grow as society grows, as these tools grow, as everything grows, and mold into that and bring your purpose with it. And if we're not bringing our purpose with it, we're just sitting ducks.
Well, and everything changes, right? If we didn't go with changes, we'd still be not driving cars, and we wouldn't have electricity, and we wouldn't have bathrooms. So you don't have to be on the bleeding edge. You don't even have to be on the cutting edge, but be in the norm, right? Everybody is using AI now, but I'd say 2 years ago, I didn't even know what AI meant. Maybe I did. I don't know. ChatGPT was probably around 2 years ago, but I certainly didn't use it on the day in and day out like I do now.
And imagine the amount of people who have built a business just using AI that probably wouldn't have had it before that.
Right.
Like there's so many tools and things out there to help you live in your purpose. And there's people out there that are using social media and their full-time jobs and they have kids, but they're using social media to generate extra revenue to live a better life. And that those little things all come from purpose. They all come from that why. Why am I doing this? And it's giving them something outside of, like these women who are so stuck with their kids are my purpose. My whole purpose was to be a mom, and then your kids leave and you have nothing left. And you have to have something outside of that, building a skill. I know multiple women who are basically stay-at-home moms. If they have a job, it's kind of like just to have something to do, I guess, while the kids are at school. And they don't actually build any real skills. So now tell me what happens if something happens to their husband. Something happens and they separate from their husband. Like something happens. What do? You don't have any skills outside being a mom. So like, I just don't understand. Like I get purpose of wanting to be a mom and being like, I get that. I'm not a mom. But I get it. But I don't get making that everything. Because it's not everything in your life. It's a small part of your life if you really think about it. It's 18 years.
Right.
So it's a small part. You've lived more life than you're spending as a mom. And like if that's all you have, what do you do when your kids are on their own and they have their own life? Because they're gonna have their own life.
If you've done a good job, they will.
Yeah, you hope they get out of your basement.
Right. If you've done it well. But even when you're a mom, there's time to do some online research. And, oh my gosh, depending on how old your kids are, they can teach you. My niece taught me how to use Zoom during COVID. She knew more about it than I did because she was going to school in it already before I started using it. So they can teach you, but it's all about taking those steps and saying, what could I do today to make my life better? What's one little 10-minute thing? Just a 10-minute move today to make your life better. What is that?
You hate your job. You fill out one application.
Yes, just one little thing. And it's not just women. I had to do that with my son too. He's a young man, right? But he was stuck in a job that just wasn't paying. I'm like, okay, so I get that you're busy. I get, but can't you spend a few hours a week working on who you want to be when you grow up? So he took that time and he started spending 6 to 12 hours a week. Just a week. That's not a lot. That's a week. building some software programs so that now he can go out and share them with people so that he can get a better job. And guess what happened when he started doing that? A weird job opened up that he got that isn't what he's looking for, but it almost doubled his pay.
I weirdly and this is just one of my thoughts that probably some people won't agree with, but I do think that everything happens for a reason in a sense. And now these opportunities will approach, but if you're not at a place to accept an opportunity like that, why do you deserve to have that happen? And so like, if you're working towards something and you are really putting in the effort, opportunities will approach. Like, they will be there. They will pop up when you're ready for it. And yep. I don't know where people get thinking that they're just going to pop out of nowhere if you're not doing the work to get there.
Well, and a lot of people, example. Yeah, a lot of people think, oh, you were just lucky. He was just lucky. Yes, he was lucky. But guess what? Luck happens a lot if you're looking for it.
Yeah, like, I hate that. I hate when people say you're lucky. No, I worked for it. That is the difference. There is not anything in this world that I got without work.
And part of that work, though, is being open and available and recognizing when something good comes along. Mm-hmm. Being willing to grab it. Because how many of us don't grab something when it comes along? And then years later, we're like, well, I could have bought Facebook when it was $1 a share. I could have bought crypto. Well, then why didn't you?
You didn't take action, so you didn't deserve it.
Because we all had those same opportunities. We all heard the same thing. And some did and some didn't. Which were you?
And if you didn't, okay, now learn from why you didn't do that. And now next time the opportunity approaches itself, you can take action on it. Mm-hmm. And if you choose not to again, well, you learn nothing.
Right. And do you lose sometimes? Yes. You win and lose in everything. Every football game. Right? There's winners and losers. Every time your team doesn't always win. I don't always win. You don't always win.
Without risk, there's no reward.
Yeah, you don't. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And go ahead.
I just don't understand how people let things slip. Like, it's there. It's all there.
It's fear that's holding them back. Yeah.
Yeah. Makes me sad. Back to the whole. I hate when people don't live to their full potential. Like. Tell me something else about you. All right, we dived into coaching. We went on a whole different approach. I didn't even know we'd go down that, but like then the passions start piling in because we both want to help people. So, what's something else about you? What else you got going on?
Well, I've recently rebranded into Real You Studio. And I talk about Netflix a lot because I'm using cinematic coaching to help women destroy their fear, get out of that fear. And the reason I'm doing it is I find that stories are moving, right? Mm-hmm. Stories really help. And people love watching movies. Most people love watching movies. But I found myself telling stories that my clients weren't connecting with. They didn't know this scene, or they hadn't seen that movie or the other movie or whatever. So I started doing monthly movie clubs, which is like a book club, only with a movie, right? So last month we did Brittany Runs a Marathon. I don't know if you've ever watched it, but it's a really great movie. And it talks about a woman who, was going along in life kind of like the even keel. She was comfortable, didn't have a great life, but she didn't care enough to make a change. And then it goes through her progression from the ungreat life, just surviving, to running the New York City Marathon. Not only running the marathon, but getting her friends to run it too. So through that movie transition, I help women recognize where they are, if there's a little Brittany in them too. And it has been so phenomenally helpful because it's so much easier to see it in someone else, to see it in Brittany, than it is to see it in us. And then when we see it in that movie character, it's easier to apply to our life because we can get her, right? Oh yeah, I feel her, I got her. And it's fun, right? You get to kind of sit back and we have mocktails. I call it movies, mocktails, and magic, right? We sit back, we have little mocktails. We don't watch the movie together. You watch the movie on your own, just like you read the book on your own. And then we kind of do a deep dive about what was Brittany going through in this case, or what was the character going through? What was the turning point? When did she finally have enough? When did she recognize her dream? When did she make her decision? And then did she stick with it or not? So it's kind of been a fun thing that I've been doing, and I'm loving it. So I'm rebranding, and we're doing that in my new coaching program now.
Very interesting. So are you just rebranding the whole program around this, or do you have two separate programs then?
I still have my other program, the Ninja in High Heels. That will always be something I have, because as I grow bigger, I'm going to create that community of like-minded people where you can come check in, be with the women, have women around you who understand what you're going through and who will support you through thick and thin. So that's Ninjas in High Heels. That's going to be an international organization. It's just getting off the ground now. That's always been the plan, never going to change. But the Real You Studio is kind of something fun I'm doing for me, because that's how I like to coach right now. It's fun.
Nice. Is that basically the two levels to your business, is those two, or do you have anything else that goes into this other than coaching? What else do you do?
I do coaching. I do immersion events. Pretty much that's what I do is coaching. And as part of the coaching, when we do the immersion events, we do movies. We decorate our own wine glasses because everything is better in a wine glass. Whatever you drink, things like that. But it's all coaching related. It's success coaching. So it doesn't matter if it's business related or if it's personal related. It's all related to success coaching.
Nice. And so about how many clients do you have? Like, are you about at max capacity? How many are you willing to take on? How does that work?
Right now, I'm looking for 10 clients for my beta program of this new program, 10 one-on-one clients, because 10 one-on-one clients is a lot, but 10 one-on-one clients because I'm launching my new Real You Studio beta program in the next month, and I'm looking for a group of women who will go through this beta program with me, and hopefully I'll only have to have one. We'll see how many I have to have. It is a 12-week program, so then I'll be launching another one 12 weeks from now, whether that's beta, because I still need some learning, or if it's full-blown, here's a new coaching model. That's what time will tell, depending on how things work out.
Hopefully it's perfected the first time and you can just roll it out.
Hopefully it is, because it is so freaking fun. People are loving it.
So are you already doing the Netflix and like
the movies, Mocktails and Magic?
Yeah.
Yes. And that one I think I'm going to rebrand, but yes, I've been doing that for several months now. And I'll get like 75, 80 people sign up for that on Eventbrite. So people really love it. I started out with the question is, what if a single movie could change your life? Well, yeah, everybody wants to join in on that. So it's a lot of fun, and we get together, we jabber jaw, right? And it's a led conversation, so it's not everybody going off on their own. But I have little questions that I ask you so that when you come to discuss the movie, you're ready and you kind of have thought about things.
How do people find this?
How do they find the movies, Mocktails, and Magic, or my coaching programs? I'm going to send everybody to my website because everything will be there. right?
Okay.
So it's Ninjas in High Heel, and I'm going to spell that for you. NinjaHighHeels. NinjaInHighHeels.com. That's
And
my
I'll
website.
post it in the description too.
Okay.
But yeah, so everything's on your website to find you.
Yep, you can find me there. And of course, I'm in everywhere on social media, but my website is the best place to find me.
Okay, very cool. Is there anything else you want to cover? Any specific topics you want to dive into?
Oh, specific topics. I don't have any additional specific topics I think I want to dive into unless you want to go over a specific problem or something. I do have questions that we could go over if you wanted to. Like, what if you're over 40? Does it matter? And my answer is no. If you've ever seen the movie Nyad, do you know who Diane Nyad is, first of all? Okay, she's a little bit older than us. Okay, a lot older than you. A little older than me. But she was a swimmer. And recently, like in 2019, I think is when she did it, she swam from Cuba to Florida at 64 years old, 63 years old, without a net or anything. It was her 5th attempt. Netflix put a movie together so that you could learn her story. She tried this when she was 30 years old and failed. This was a 30-year dream for her. So I don't care how old you are. If there is still breath coming out of your nose, out of your lungs, you are not too old to look at your dream and say, I can do this. She did it at 63. And while she was doing it, a 28-year-old woman tried to do the same and gave up. It does not matter how old you are. It matters how old your mind is. Does your mind believe that you can do it? And hers certainly did. That is another great movie I'd recommend, is Nyad. We definitely need to go into that. So that's a good one to talk about. We talked a little bit about why do high-achieving women struggle to get what they really want. They struggle because they don't know what they want. They know what everybody else in their family needs. They know what their boss needs, but they've never figured out what they truly want for themselves.
That's an interesting one because I think the reason that happens is just women tend to do that because we're like more of the nurturer, right? And we tend to look back and look over everyone else. And that's where we forget about ourselves. And I think a lot of people forget that in order to be there for the people around you the best possible way you can, you have to pour back into your cup and you have to take care of you. And I can't take care of my husband and my dog without being the full cup, right? Like I can't give everything to them without giving everything to myself. And that is something people miss. And whether that's you're pouring into your kids, you're pouring into your husband, you're pouring into your job, whatever you're pouring into your family, it doesn't matter. If you are pouring from an empty cup, you will never be able to fully give them what you're trying to give them.
And that is so true because you're pouring from that empty vessel, right? That vessel, how are you filling your vessel? And a lot of times we feel like we're being selfish, like we should be grateful for what we have. And we should be. Do not get me wrong. I am grateful every day that I have food to eat, that I have a roof over my head, and I want more. I want a bigger purpose in life. I want to help more people. I want to take my kids to Italy. I want more. I can be grateful and I can want more, and I don't have to feel guilty about the end.
And you shouldn't. You should never feel guilty for pouring into your own cup. You shouldn't. Mm-hmm. And again, it's not even necessarily selfish to do so, because in order for somebody to show up for somebody else, they have to be able to show up for themselves. And if you ever make somebody feel bad for pouring back into themselves, well, maybe you should look in the mirror and see why you're doing that, because they
Right.
have to in order to show up for you the way you want them to.
Mm-hmm. Right? Just like when you're on an airplane, right? You're supposed to put the mask on yourself first. Why? Because if you're dead, you can't help that other person sitting next to you.
Yep. There's nothing you can do at
Fix
that point.
you first. Fix you first. Help yourself first. And then you'll have the energy and the vitality to do whatever it takes to help someone else.
There is like too far, right? Worrying about yourself, not worrying about anyone else around you. Like there are people that go that far, but most of the time, if you're feeling guilty about doing that, you're not going that far.
Yes. The people who don't feel guilty about that are not my clients. They don't come looking for help.
They don't need it. They're already taking care of themselves.
They don't need help. They don't watch podcasts.
they doing their thing.
Yeah. They're out doing their thing. Okay, we talked about movie metaphors and why do I use it in my coaching. Okay, so here's a good one. What's one small thing a woman can do this week to start to rewrite her life without burning it all down? What's one small thing you can do?
You're asking me? Oh, I was
no,
okay. I was
the first
I could come up with something.
Yeah, you do every day. The first small thing I would say a woman should do is evaluate how happy she is in the different areas of her life right now. Are you happy with your love and relationships? Are you happy with your health? Are you happy with, rate it on a scale of 1 to 5. Because you can't know where to go. Uber can't come pick you up to take you somewhere if you don't know where you are.
Or where you want to go.
Right? So the first step is, where are you? Then the second step is, where do you want to go? So tomorrow, figure out where are you. The day after, figure out where you want to go. And I do help people with this step. I call it my storyboard. And it's a free coaching session for any of your listeners who might want to do that. A free storyboard coaching session that I help them identify where they are and where they want to go so that they can then develop steps, daily steps to get there.
I mean, you have to start somewhere.
You have to start somewhere. Why not start today?
I tell people all the time, I was like, don't wait. Like, I hate it when people are like, oh, wait till Monday or whatever. And I hate that. Like, do not wait for Monday. Do not wait for the beginning of the month. Do not wait for the first of the year. Like, just start today. I don't care if it's Thursday at 9 p.m. Just start.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I always recommend to my people that if it's going to be 5 to 10 minutes or less, do it right now. If it's going to take an hour or more, then schedule it in the next 24 hours. But why would you wait on something that just would take 5 or 10 minutes? You can do it now. You can listen to a podcast while you walk the neighborhood this morning or tonight or whatever. I do mine at night because I'm in Phoenix and it's 110 out right now. So I don't walk at night. I walk at like 4:30 in the morning. That's when I get up for my walk.
I've been taking my dog at, it's about 4. And then we go again at night, like after the sun goes down because it's so freaking hot.
But it's still hot, right? That concrete is still hot for those poor little feeties.
It's cooled down a little bit here. So it's no longer like, it's only getting up to like the 108, you know what I mean? Like, as long as it's not like 120, it doesn't feel as hot with the ground.
Yeah. And do you have like a grass dog park or something, or is it all asphalt and concrete?
Yeah, it's all concrete. They're actually taking the little bit of grass that we do have here, they're taking it out everywhere. So.
Oh, no, because of the
whole
the watering thing, huh?
Yeah.
That's awful.
Technically, it doesn't belong here. So.
Yeah. Do you have dog booties?
No, my dog. She would not let you put those on.
They're so funny. I only watch my son's dog, so he shakes them off. So they stay on like 5 minutes. I'm like, okay.
You couldn't even get one on her. Not one.
So luckily I have a golf course behind me, but I can't walk the dog during the day on the golf course, right? So after they close the golf course, I can take him walking on the golf course. But like if he has to go walking in the middle of the day, that's on asphalt. I don't want to take the poor thing out on 118-degree asphalt.
No. You can feel the heat in the desert, like on the street.
Yeah.
It's bad. So, yeah, no, I totally understand.
Yep.
Walks in the morning.
Walks in the morning. So if it takes less than 10 minutes, do it now. More than 10 minutes, like an hour or more, schedule it in the next 24 hours.
The biggest thing is just do it. Don't think about it. Don't plan it. Planning isn't going to get anywhere and nothing's ever going to be perfect. Just take action. That's what it comes down to.
Mm-hmm. And clarity comes through action, right? Mm-hmm. You can plan all day long, do whatever, but until you take steps, you really don't know how it's going to turn out.
I mean, I called this messy on purpose for a reason, right? Because the mess is where we learn. And everything is always going to start as a mess. Anything new, you don't know what you're doing. You're learning as you go. Everything always improves over time. It doesn't matter if you knew how to do something for the last 20 years. As we evolve and things change and we have more opportunities and more tools in our tool belt, like we are able to evolve and make things better. So everything changes with time. And perfection is just, it's a silly goal because it's never going to be achievable. Because things change, because things can always be improved. I don't care where you're at, what you've done, how successful you've been. There's always room for improvement. There's always room for growth.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And perfection keeps you stuck.
Yeah.
It means you never try anything new.
Well, your goal's not attainable. So now you're sitting there with an unattainable goal, which will make you give up. So something I was talking to my husband about a couple days ago, we were talking about how people will have this idea of what something's going to be based off of what somebody's selling them, right? So a big thing right now is having a BBL and selling booty programs. You are selling something that's unattainable because the muscle doesn't look like that when you build muscle, and you're selling a program that didn't get you where you are. So people will start this program, do this program. Maybe they do it for a while. Maybe they do it for short term. Either way, their idea is that they're going to get what you're promising them, and then they don't get it and they give up, and then they never try again because nothing's ever worked. Because they keep trying these little things that never work. Right. And that is unattainable. And like when you make an unattainable goal that's shooting for perfection, that's unattainable. Once you realize that you're never going to get there, you're never going to get that exact perfection that you're looking for, you are going to quit. And when you quit, you don't go back.
But if you'd never quit, what would you look like now? You started a year ago and never quit. What would you look like now? You'd probably look pretty damn good.
Right.
Darn
and like
good.
But the problem is, like, if you have a different picture of what you want and
right,
what
unattainable
you actually
results.
get, that's the unattainable part. But if you have an idea of what you want without this perfect picture, now you can mold that as you go into what you think you want, and that'll change over time because you're open to change. If you're not open to change, you're like, I want that. That's all I want, that exact thing. I want it, like I want that blue with pink stripes or whatever, and like that's not it. You're going to get, maybe a dark blue with light purple or so, like it's just
right.
It's you're not satisfied because that's not what I pictured. That's not what I wanted. But it's the same thing, just a slightly different color.
Right. Right.
It's a weird thing. And it's all about your mindset, the mentality you have going into something. And if you don't have that right mentality, it's hard to be successful because you're not going to push through when things are hard. And guess where it's hard? In that messy middle. That's where it's hard. That's where we find all of our struggles. That's where we grow. That's where we change. That's where we build that discipline of keeping going even when it sucks. 9 times out of 10, when people start something, it takes years to develop it into what they want. But most people have like a 3-month like view of, oh, I should be here. I should be successful here. But like a small business, for example, takes about 2 years to make a profit typically. 2 to 5 for some, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say 2 years is pretty good.
Yeah, and I mean, 2 years is good, but usually 2 to 5. And like, if you don't know that going in and you're not prepared for that, when you hit that year mark and you haven't made anything yet, you're going to be upset. You're going to feel like a failure. And so it's just all about how you go into it and realize that like 9 times out of 10, you're going to be doing work and you're not going to get anything back from it for a really long time.
Right. But if you're on your purpose, you still have a why. You have a reason to push through. Right?
And you have to know what that is, because that is going to be your strength when you feel weak.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's the only thing that's going to help you survive when you feel weak. That and your friend group, your new friend group, because we're going to introduce you to new people that spur you on instead of say, come out and have drinks with us. That wasn't going to work anyway.
And you know, it's hard. But sometimes it's lonely when you're moving into a different path. It's lonely for a little while because you have to distance yourself, and that's okay too. You know, like just live with yourself, be happy with yourself, and if you're working on yourself and you're becoming a better person and that person that you truly want to be, that you're meant to be, you're gonna be really happy just being in your own bubble.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you can't. I don't know, probably a lot of people haven't remodeled a house before, but you can't put a new fridge in until you get rid of your old one. You can't build your new life until you're willing to let go of what's there already, right? So if you're holding on so tightly to those things that aren't serving you well, nothing else can get in there.
You have to make room.
Yeah, you have to make room for what it is you want. You could put on like 4 dresses today, but really, do you want to? Do you want to wear the same dress you wore yesterday? Or do you want to wash it?
Yeah. It's all about moving forward, and you have to do little things that, you know, might not always be the easiest. Building boundaries is not easy. It's not easy to push people away or to distance yourself, especially when there's somebody that you've known your whole life. That is not easy. And even for me, I've done it a lot, and it's not easy. I had to recently basically break up with a friend, and it wasn't easy. It might have seemed easy to other people on the outside, but it wasn't easy. I just chose that because I think more logically, and I think that like, okay, this doesn't work for me. It's not building either of us up. Like, it's time to just separate, and that's okay to do, but it doesn't mean it's going to be easy, and usually anything working towards something, some type of growth, some type of change is just not going to be easy. Uncomfortable is a good thing.
Uncomfortable is where growth takes place.
It's a good thing.
Yeah. No matter what we're talking about, it is where growth takes place. And growing, I don't know, it's kind of fun. I find it incredibly fun. So that's my hobby, is growing and learning. I don't know, I'm kind of crazy too. So those are fun things for me. And sometimes I'll make a choice to stay home and do some work because it's so fun, instead of like go out to a movie with somebody I don't really like and a movie I don't really want to see. You know, I make choices like that because this is inspiring and fun as heck.
And like when you get to that point though, like after you're like done learning this thing that you're trying to just get into, right? You're trying to hit that growth and you're trying to get to that point. Once you get in there, it is fun. It is a good time. Mm-hmm. But you have to put in the work to get to the point where it is fun. Like it wasn't fun. So I had communication issues with my husband when we first, like in the beginning years, right? Like where like I didn't know how to communicate. I would shut down. And all of that was based on how I grew up. And like, I would just shut myself down. I could talk. Now I'm probably an oversharer, but like that, but that was very, very uncomfortable to get to. Now I enjoy a hard conversation. Do we need to talk about this? Let's talk about this. And like, I enjoy that. It's still not comfortable, but I enjoy it. And like that, those are things that you realize along the way. Some things that you're uncomfortable with, you eventually end up loving.
Definitely. And really, if you're uncomfortable having those deep conversations, then there's a bigger problem. Probably you need to work on a little bit in your life.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, that's something I had to work through, which most people do.
Most people do.
Because usually there's a reason behind it, right? Like, I grew up not feeling like I could express myself. I felt like I wasn't able to say what I was thinking, so I would just shut down, and I didn't know how to explain it because I've never been able to explain it. And sometimes you have feelings that you don't know how to process, let alone what they mean. So how are you supposed to tell somebody else? So until you do the deep dive, until you start working on yourself, until you start growing, you'll never know how to express how you feel unless you know what that means. And we don't know what that means sometimes because we develop these habits based on the environment that we either grew up in or that we currently put ourselves in.
Right. So true. So true. It sounds like you have had a very exciting and interesting life.
It's been something. Would you believe that I have a podcast, having a podcast, that I was a shy child?
Well, you certainly grew out of it.
Yeah. Like, I didn't express myself in school. I was very quiet. I didn't, like, it wasn't that I didn't have friends or anything. It was just like, very quiet, didn't express myself a whole lot, didn't try new things like you would think. I never really went hard with anything because like I was just like, oh, I'm not going to be good at it anyways, and like I'll just sit in the background. Now, totally different person, and all of that is through self-growth. That is through trying things that make me uncomfortable. That is from doing things even when I don't want to do them. So like all of that was built with little habits along the way.
So what made you take that first step?
I'm crazy. I don't know.
You don't remember?
No, I think I've always kind of been that way. I think the biggest thing was so I've always kind of like, I've always loved working out and stuff. And I think quitting drinking was the first step. So quitting drinking because I lived in a place where it was so common. I was judged for stopping, right? And that almost fueled the fire that started the adventure this way.
Rebellion. That is a big motivator to some of us. Was to me. Yep. I'm a rebellious person, so tell me I can't. Go ahead, try it.
I used to be a rule follower. I wouldn't say I am anymore.
Oh, that's awesome. So Rebels Unite, that's what we need.
Yep. There's our next networking event.
Yep, Rebels Unite. That's awesome.
What was the key for you? What was the biggest struggle, and like what was the key for you to like get on the right path?
I've always had a rebellious nature. Honestly, there is a story about when I was a 4-year-old child. It's the Great Potato Chip Incident. I was at my neighbor's. She was babysitting me. And she told me, I must have thrown a chip on the floor. She told me to pick up the chip, and I said no. She said, pick up the chip, and I said no. And this went back and forth until my mom got home from work. My mom came over and said, pick up the chip. I said no. So she took her hand and put it over my little baby hand, and she made me pick up the chip. Well, that was not going to happen. So even though I had to pick up the chip and it was in my hand, I crushed it all over the floor because you are not going to make me pick up the damn chip. So I was born this way. I don't know where it came from, but it's been always. So if you tell me I can't, I will.
So that was born into you, but like there has to be like some type of self-development moment, right? Somewhere that like you changed. that you fixed?
That was in my divorce. When I went through my divorce and I found out about MLMs, it was all personal development there, right? I learned about the things. Now, I was natural, right, about things. I naturally gravitated towards the soft skills, but I didn't know there was something called personal development until I got involved with MLMs. And then I'm like, a whole new world opened up to me. I learned things that I never even had heard of before. And that opened up people like Tony Robbins into my world. And, you know, blue collar life, we don't talk about people like Tony Robbins and things like that. That is Catholic girl born and raised. We don't talk about people like that. So it was eye-opening to me to start hanging out and hanging out with people that I never would have hung out with in my professional life or my family. That was
getting out of the bubble almost. Like I call home like a sinkhole. No one leaves. No one does anything different. It's just the same thing till you die. And I left that sinkhole, climbed right out, moved on.
Well, they do say that most people live the same year of their life again and again and again, like Groundhog Day. So do you want to live the same year 99 times? Or do you want a new year every year until you're 100? I vote for a new year. Yeah. I get bored way too easily.
Yep. I can't.
Yep.
Oh, all right. Well, it's about, it's 6. So let's wrap it up. But before we wrap it up, I want to see if you have one piece of advice that you want to share with everyone.
One piece of advice. I think the one piece of advice I would say to everyone is take a baby step every single day in the direction of your dream. Just a baby step. I call it a bold move, but that scares the bejesus out of people. So just a baby step. A 10-minute task. Picking up the phone or filling out an application. That can mean the difference between where you are and where you want to be in a year if you did that every day.
One step closer. Better than standing still.
One step closer.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
It was great information, great conversation. And until next time, guys, bye.